Have you ever wondered about the strangest photos that time has forgotten? Today, we will reveal to you the strangest and most fascinating vintage photos that you will love. I promise you. Enjoy the show. That iconic scene from Mirror, Mirror, October '67, blew our minds back then. Star Trek's Parallel Universe episode gave us evil doppelgangers of our beloved crew, complete with sinister costumes and attitudes to match. Groundbreaking stuff for primetime TV in those days? The episode perfectly captured the what-if spirit that made Trek so revolutionary, turning our heroes into villains for one unforgettable hour. The Deep turned Jacqueline Bisset into America's sweetheart overnight, but most folks don't know she actually performed many of her own stunts during the 8-week shoot in the Caribbean. Despite having zero diving experience, she learned scuba just for this role. Pretty gutsy for 1977. The film cemented her status as one of Hollywood's leading ladies and grossed nearly $50 million at the box office. And get this, those now famous underwater scenes were shot with bulky 65mm IMAX cameras, making the diving sequences twice as challenging. Classic 1950s vocal training in action. Before fancy digital voice analyzers and YouTube tutorials, singing teachers used hands-on methods like this to teach proper diaphragm control. Back then, serious voice lessons would set you back about $5 to $10 per hour, equivalent to $60 to $120 today. Look at those typical 50s outfits too. Those high-waisted shorts and pedal pushers were all the rage, probably picked up at Woolworths for a few bucks. Shot appears to be somewhere in Los Angeles, likely near Griffith Park, where many vocal coaches ran their studios. Talk about a heart-stopping moment for car guys. That's a 1954 to 1957 Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing, the dream machine that cost $11,000 back then, nearly $120,000 in today's money. Sophia Loren, at just 22, took part in this 1956 Italian rally before she became a Hollywood sensation. Those Gullwings are now worth north of $1.5 million, but back then they were just incredibly expensive sports cars. She walked away from this minor mishap, and the car survived to become even more legendary. Pretty gutsy for a rising star to race one of these beasts. With its 215 horsepower straight-six engine, it was one of the fastest production cars of its era. What a wild photo shoot that was, staged just 24 hours before this brownstone on East 58th Street got demolished. Giggly literally raced against the wrecking ball to create this masterpiece. Those magnificent brownstones were being torn down to make way for what we now know as 909 3rd Avenue. Each model's dress cost around $50 to $75 back then. That's about $500 in today's money. The whole shoot took less than an hour, with just 2 models sharing the same window frame in different shots. Even the building superintendent's wife got in on the action. Giggly convinced him to let them shoot by promising his wife could pose in that blue dress in the bottom row. A rare glimpse into Inuit daily survival from the 1880s Arctic expeditions. The traditional foot-warming ritual prevented frostbite in extreme temperatures. Their sealskin kamiks featured ingenious double-layer design, while the driftwood chest doubled as essential seating during tasks. Most expedition photos showed hunting or settlements. Catching such an intimate survival moment was exceptional. Shot during Dolly's first recording sessions at Monument Records in Nashville, 1966. She'd just moved from Sevier County with big dreams and raw talent. At the time, Dolly was recording Dumb Blonde, her first hit that ironically challenged stereotypes about her appearance. The turtleneck and upswept hair were signature looks of the era, but Dolly would soon develop her own iconic style that defined her later career. Behind-the-scenes photo from The Beastmaster, 1982, where Tanya Roberts played Kiri, the slave girl. The film, while not a box office hit initially, gained a huge following through repeated HBO airings in the 1980s. The movie's director Don Coscarelli shot these dramatic backlit scenes in the forests of California, creating that distinctive golden hour glow effect that became a signature look of 80s fantasy films. Admiral William H.P. Blandy and his wife cut into a mushroom cloud cake, celebrating the 1946 atomic tests on Bikini Atoll. Taken in 1967, this photo captures Sharon Tate in her garden wearing a floral Betsey Johnson dress from her signature collection. Johnson was just launching her fashion career then, becoming known for romantic florals and feminine silhouettes. The photo session happened during Sharon's breakthrough year, just before filming Valley of the Dolls. The light, breezy style reflected the changing fashion landscape of the late 60s. Epic Kiss fan story spanning 34 years. Two teenagers captured in 1975 during Kiss's breakthrough Alive Darcy tour, proudly displaying their handmade banner at Cobo Hall, Detroit. Fast forward to 2009, same fan, same banner, reunited at a Kiss meet and greet. They'd preserved that piece of rock history through moves, marriages, and decades of change. The original banner featured their own artwork of the band's iconic makeup designs, long before official merchandise flooded the market. Amazing time capsule from the early McDonald's days, when Quarter Pounders were 89 cents and a burger would set you back 35 cents. Notice those classic brown and white polyester uniforms, the handwritten menu board, and the original Ronald McDonald design that looks way different from today's version. This Staten Island location was one of the early East Coast expansions during McDonald's rapid growth phase. Back then, most employees were full-time career staff, unlike today's mostly part-time workforce. A rare behind-the-scenes shot from Disney's 101 Dalmatians, 1960, which revolutionized animation with the Xerox process. Walt brought real Dalmatians into the studio for animators to study movement and patterns. The film marked Disney's first departure from hand inking, using photocopying technology to transfer drawings directly to cells, a technique that saved the studio from bankruptcy after the expensive Sleeping Beauty. The cartoon storyboards on the wall show the distinctive style of animator Mark Davis. This iconic shot captures the fearless spirit of New York's Sky Boys during the skyscraper boom. The worker is perched on a steel beam during the Chrysler Building's construction. No safety harness, just nerves of steel and steady feet. The photo was taken after Black Tuesday, but before the building's completion in 1930. Below is the Commodore Hotel, now Grand Hyatt. This photo shows then Princess Elizabeth, who joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service, ATS, in 1945, not 1939. She was the first female member of the royal family to serve as a full-time active member of the armed services, As number 230873, she trained as a mechanic and driver at the Mechanical Transport Training Section in Camberley, Surrey. The military vehicle behind her is an Austin K2Y ambulance, commonly called Katie. Despite royal status, she insisted on taking the complete mechanics training course. Captured during Linda Carter's breakthrough year as Wonder Woman, this casual shot shows her signature 70s style, high-waisted bell-bottom jeans, floral peasant top, and those iconic leather boots that were everywhere in '76. The retro polka dot chair and houseplants perfectly capture that mid-'70s home decor vibe. This photo was taken right when Wonder Woman was moving from ABC to CBS, making Carter a household name at just 25 years old. This photo features Tippi Hedren and Neil, her 400-pound lion, at her home in Sherman Oaks, California. After filming Roar, 1981, Hedren became a big cat activist and established the Shambhala Preserve. Behind-the-scenes shot from Rambo First Blood Part 2, 1985. Director George P. Cosmatos used actual mud from the jungle for authenticity rather than makeup effects. The mud scenes weren't just for show. They were crucial to the plot where Rambo uses camouflage to ambush enemy forces. Despite uncomfortable filming conditions and sweltering heat, Stallone kept his sense of humor, as evident in this candid moment between takes. This shot was taken around 1976 to 1977, during the height of Wonder Woman series success. Carter is wearing a signature 70s silk kimono-style wrap with floral pattern in that distinct sapphire blue, which became popular in the disco era. The custom Linda studded cushion shows her pre-Wonder Woman spelling of her name, before she changed it to Linda for Hollywood. This was taken during a home photo shoot when she was becoming one of TV's highest-paid actresses. This extraordinary photo was taken in London near St. Paul's Cathedral in 1898. Walter Rothschild, a passionate zoologist, pioneered zebra domestication, proving they could be trained like horses. He employed Mr. Hardy to break in the zebras and demonstrate their potential as carriage animals. This publicity stunt aimed to show that zebras could be useful in African colonies where horses often succumbed to diseases. Despite the successful demonstration, zebras proved too unpredictable and aggressive for widespread domestication. Classic street photo from post-liberation Paris, 1945. During this period, bread and wine deliveries were essential daily routines as Paris rebuilt itself after occupation. The woman's plaid shirt and work apron suggest she's likely a shop worker or restaurant employee. Notice the vintage car in the background and the distinctive Parisian sidewalk with its round manhole cover, architectural details that still exist today in many parts of the city. This is one of the earliest color photographs of British royalty, using the autochrome process invented by the Lumiere brothers. King George V is wearing his naval uniform with ceremonial gold braiding, while Queen Mary sports an emerald green court dress and her famous Delhi Durbar tiara and parure. The image was taken at the start of World War I, when the royal family changed their surname from Saxe-Coburg-Gotha to Windsor to distance themselves from their German heritage. This photo captures Greta Garbo's first encounter with Leo, MGM's famous mascot, shortly after her arrival in Hollywood in 1925. Fresh from Sweden at age 20, this publicity shot was part of MGM's campaign to introduce their new European star. The photo cleverly plays on Garbo's fearless persona. She appears completely unfazed by the lion, wearing typical 1920s fashion with a cloche hat and fur-trimmed coat. This was before her first American film, Torrent, 1926, which launched her legendary career. A perfect slice of post-war American teenage life. A house party in Tulsa, 1947. The colorized photo captures every detail: pinstriped suits for boys, pastel dresses, and victory rolls hairstyles for girls, hair flowers, and those classic Coca-Cola bottles. The wood-paneled basement was a typical hangout spot. Dancing was usually slow dancing. Notice the couple standing close together. The snacks are quintessentially 1940s. Potato chips in a bowl and homemade cookies on a platter. This photo captures the peak of supermodel era, likely around 1992 to 1993. Crawford and Schiffer's iconic look, oversized white shirts, black pants, and red accents, epitomized the minimalist power dressing of early 90s fashion. Both were at the height of their careers, dominating runways for Versace and Chanel and featuring on countless magazine covers. Their styling reflects the move away from the excessive 80s towards the clean, sophisticated lines that defined 90s fashion. A dramatic moment captured outside Chicago's divorce court, 1948. The post-war era saw a significant spike in divorce rates as many hasty wartime marriages unraveled. Despite the man's theatrical plea, these public displays were common enough that newspapers of the era regularly featured similar photos. The woman's outfit, fur coat and structured hat, represents the formal dress code expected in courtrooms of that period. The image shows artist Bill Maughan with his 1986 version of the Paramount Pictures Mountain logo. He was commissioned to repaint the iconic logo for Paramount's 75th anniversary. This version featured more detailed clouds and reflections in the lake than previous iterations. The mountain depicted is Ben Lomond Peak in Utah, though there's a long-standing myth that it's Peru's artisan Raju. Maughan's painting became one of the most recognized versions of the studio logo. This photo was taken at a promotional party for Ray Anthony's new song, My Maryland. The event took place at the Hollywood Hills home of band leader Ray Anthony. Monroe wore her signature figure-hugging dress and was at a pivotal point in her career. She had just filmed Niagara and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes was about to start production. This party marked one of her first major Hollywood social appearances as a rising star. This is actually from backstage at the Palais Garnier during a production by the Paris Opera Ballet circa 1950. The dancers are wearing traditional white tutus known as tutu plateau, the signature costume for classical ballets like Swan Lake. The image captures a lighthearted moment between performances, showing the playful side of professional ballet that audiences rarely saw. These candid backstage photos became popular in post-war Paris as photographers gained more access to the opera house's private spaces. Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher at the Town Hall, New York City, for a school benefit, 1972. A remarkable photo of the frozen Niagara Falls, showing tourists walking on the ice bridge, a natural phenomenon that occurred when ice accumulation at the base of the falls created a walkable surface. Visitors would cross between Canada and the U.S. on these ice formations until 1912, when a tragic accident killed 3 people as the ice bridge suddenly broke apart. After that incident, walking on the ice bridge was banned. Tracy Lords is an American actress. Photo taken in 1987. This vibrant shot comes from Life magazine's Speaking of Pictures series, photographed by Walter Sanders at a post-war carnival in 1946. The image captures a showgirl touching up her makeup backstage between performances. The yellow dress, dark stockings, and carnival backdrop in the background perfectly encapsulate the returning vibrancy of entertainment after World War II. This particular series documented the revival of traveling carnivals and circuses as America returned to peacetime life.